Did you ever see those XRP videos that were like crazy? Like they're literally like
XRP, $15 XRP. Yeah.
no, like there's this guy, and he'd be like literally. I remember sending a screenshot to friends where the thumbnail was a blimp in outer space that had Amazon and XRP written on the blimp, and they were like, guys, we just saw a tweet from Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. Look what he does with his hands when he's doing this speech. Okay, now look at the fingers. We divide that by the price of XRP. You know, we get the date of August 18th. Guys, that's 5 days away. And Mr. Poole, some kind of Mr. Poole or some shit. Mr. Poole tweeted these photos, cryptic messaging. I was like, what the fuck? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, dude, yes, man. I feel like a lot of these people have been filtered out, but I remember when I was getting in back in like 2020, it was a goddamn minefield out there with influencers just peddling garbage. And man, this is one of the things that made me go like all in on the Richard Hart thing was a lot of these very same people who just peddled garbage, loser after rug pull, after scam, after bullshit, who all also talk shit about Richard Hart. And like it wasn't until like 2020, like 2-ish, like after the double peak where I was like, motherfucker, all you fucking pieces of shit called like Richard Hart a scammer. And I have a personal gripe about this man because I heard about Hex like very fucking early on, but I did not look into it. And again, ultimately, this is my fault. I'm an adult, blah, 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 blah. But dude, like I remember I really trusted these guys who were interviewing Richard Hart, and this was very fucking early on, like first quarter two that Hex was out. So and they were like wildly dismissive towards Richard Hart. It was the Token Magic guys. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they were saying like, oh, I would treat this as a trade, not as an investment. Like hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Like this is some degen shit, guys. And so I didn't look into it further, and I invested in a bunch of shit that they fucking not financial advice recommended. And fucking half of it went to shit. One did good, which fucking kept me in the game, but like thankfully it was I found out about Matic Polygon through them. I got 100x out of that, but I missed out on the fucking on the 1000x, because these fucking assholes. And man, yeah, like that's another thing too, was the influencer space is disgusting, man. And there's so many people who spread like incredibly high risk shit, so high risk. Did you fall into many traps with like people? I mean, you mentioned kind of the DJ and yield farming and stuff, but any rug pulls, anything like that?
I got rug pulled in a yield farm where I was trusting this Matic influencer, and he had a Telegram, and I was like, wow, I'm in the insider group, and it was free, but like, do you know the influencer Miss Natoshi? She was in that Telegram group. She had like 30,000 followers. I was like, wow, that's a big deal. And she was like, guys, Polycat. She was like, this is the yield farm, Polycat, get in on this. And he was like, no, there's a new one, and I'm in contact with the team, and they're like really good. And I think it's legit, and it's newer, guys. So like the upside's greater. And so I'd been doing the yield farming for a while. And I was like, okay, this is going to be, awesome. To make back the fee, I think I'm going to go in heavy. And I didn't really fully understand it, permanent loss. So I went in heavy on the Matic and native yield farm token.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Those things are highly inflationary. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand the impermanent loss at all. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to make all this yield because it's a million. Like, at the start, it's like fucking millions of percent shit.
Yeah.
And then it was like this slow, I say slow rug. I was so naive. Like, I was like, no, this guy said like he knew the team and it was fine. And people in the Telegram are all like, they're like, this is a fucking rug. Get your fucking money out now. Like the website won't even fucking load. And then like there'd be an admin who'd come in and be like, no guys, everything's fine. Devs are working hard. And then these guys are like, this is a textbook fucking rug pull. You like get your fucking money. I'm like, who are these guys fudding? What the heck? Meanwhile, the website's like not working. All this shit. So I pretty much dude, I can't remember exactly, but I mean, I think I put like 4 to 8 grand worth of Matic into that, and I just
Oh,
like lost it all.
oh, that breaks
Which
my heart.
yeah, and it's bull run. You're feeling like rich as shit all over the place. So I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, whatever,
because Matic was a
whatever.
winner. Like
And,
it did
then it
good.
went on to do
Yeah,
like 10x from there. so yeah,
yeah.
that was the worst one because I had been doing this yield farming for a little bit, and I was like thought I was confident and I trusted this guy. And then the guy came back into the Telegram chat. He was gone for a day, and everyone was
Mm.
like, "Yo, dude, like, what the heck?" And he came back in and just like made a joke about it, and then never talked about it. And I was like, "Yo, these guys are actually fucking. This is crazy." Like, I couldn't believe it because he'd been like, so like, guys, I want us all to win, like all this stuff,
Yeah.
And then and I was like, "What the hell?" Like, he didn't even. And now I real. It took me months to realize, oh, he was in on it because I was like, "Why isn't he saying sorry? Like, why isn't he?" And he was like, "Guys, look, I got hurt by this too. It happens." Like, I was like, "Why aren't you apologizing for shilling this shit and telling us it was all good?" So,
Oh,
but here's the
dude. Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought. Yeah.
well, here's the funny thing. We talk about influencers and the mistrust. Well, that's what made me mistrust with Hex community because I was like, oh, these guys are just like everyone else because they were like, Hex isn't going under a penny again, and then it did like 3 times again. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, these guys don't know shit either. But there is a time when I could have. I remember, I think it was Richard Hart's stream with this German guy who's like a fitness guy. It was a really good stream, and it was before Big Payday. And I was thinking of putting in enough. I could have had like millions of hex. Looking at what I could have bought and staked in the Big Payday bonus, and I was looking at it, and I was like, should I do it? Should I pull the trigger? And I almost did it, and then I didn't. So, but
Hey, you know
but
what, man? I think the great thing about this ecosystem is that I think while we might not, there's an open question. We'll see the performance of Hex. They would get in early at something like Pulse Chain, Pulse X. It's there's still tremendous opportunity. On man, and there's so much you mentioned on the influencer front. I don't want to hover on that too long, but I think you're right. Like, at least for myself, even within our community, man, there were like a couple narratives that were bullshit. Like, I remember one narrative was like the number will go up because of the math. Motherfucker. No, it does not go up because of the fucking math. I'm pretty sure it's actually illegal to say that too. And then there was we're decorrelated. This is a fucking big one for me where I was like, oh, we're decorrelated. No, motherfucker, we're not decorrelated. We might be slightly decorrelated in the micro sense during a bull market, but on the macro, you can't just have fucking
yeah,
Bitcoin crashing from 70K to fucking 15 and have that sentiment and not affect any cryptocurrency. Just like, so there was a lot of that bullshit, and thankfully I think we're seeing less and less than that. But man, yeah, the influencer front was such a fucking minefield. A lot of undisclosed like partnerships, paid partnerships too. I
oh
remember
yeah,
there was a couple people that like I respected, looked up to, that I found out later was like, oh, this guy has a fucking deal with these guys, and he's not fucking disclosing. Like, it's disgusting. Um,
yeah. So it was the Richard Hart called the top on the day,
yeah,
and I didn't believe him because I was listening to all the mainstream guys. I was like, oh, fuck him,
yeah,
fuck his.
dude.
What
Remember,
the
everyone
heck's
was
going
saying
to
like 20, 30K. Remember, like,
Yeah, well, everyone
yeah,
thought it was going to go to like 100K and stuff. And I was like, well, it's at least going to hit 100K because BitBoy's saying
yeah,
300K, and
exactly, man.
everyone was
Yeah.
saying, if you don't think we're going to 100K, like you're an idiot. Like get the fuck out of here. All this stuff. Um, and I remember too, Trevon and Ivan on Tech were both kind of bearish leading up to that top call. They were both saying Ivan was like, guys, like dog coins are pumping. Like, let's be careful here. This is what happened around the top last cycle. And Trevon, he started saying to like 60K, like, take your profits, y'all, take your profits. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're just getting started. Like, I'm gonna have millions. I'm gonna make millions. And then so yeah, then it crashed and it was fucking terrible. And I was sitting there like sick to my stomach, like, holy shit, I didn't I didn't sell. I was close to what I just like. was close to what I'd started with. Now, granted, I had been doing crypto full time and spending money on shit. So, I'd made money that I'd been spending on shit. But so I was like, fuck. And then Hex went to 2 cents, and I was like, whoa, like, okay, great. Like it's good. Like I am like in the green, this is good. And then it just went to like fucking 5 cents like that. And I was like, oh shit. And because that was like pretty crazy. I remember
Man,
the first time
the
Hex wicked
euphoria.
to 2 cents. I had
Yeah.
one friend who got in on before Big Payday with me. I remember calling him when we wicked to 2 cents, and I was like, dude, we just wicked to 2 cents. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. And then so yeah, when that started happening, I was like, I will never doubt Richard Hart ever again. This is amazing. And then because markets were down, and I was like super time locked with my Hex and shit. I took courses at Ivan on Tech's Academy, which is called Morales Academy, but it was Ivan on Tech Academy then. And his course is really like it's really really good. Like he explains Bitcoin from completely from like the beginning, like technical, everything like mempools and like explains all that stuff. So I was like, wow, I understand because I was curious. I loved crypto and
Yeah.
like I wanted to learn like actually like that stuff. And then once I learned all that, and I learned about Ethereum and the Ethereum virtual machine and how all that stuff works. Then when I would listen to Richard Hart, I realized how smart he actually is because I could understand a lot of the shit he was saying that before was going over my head. Like I understood, oh, Bitcoin inflation, the miners earn the inflation and the fucking whatever the word is, the difficulty goes up, the more miners that enter and all this shit and the inflation rate. And I finally understood all of that. So then when I was listening to him talk and him explaining how Hex was like Bitcoin, but better, I was like, holy shit, like it is. Like, I was like, I get it now. So yeah, well, I was like, yeah, pretty sure at 5 cents, I went like all in on Hex. I took everything I had. I sold it at a loss or whatever it was down. Like I just went all in on Hex. And then, yeah, I was like, all those other fucking guys were shitting on Richard Hart. They were saying Bitcoin to 100K. They're saying this and that about Hex. And then Hex went and did freaking crazy shit. And all these guys I was listening to were wrong. And here's the thing. None of them owned up to it. None of them said, hey, I was wrong. They said, guys, the market crashed. Can you believe it? It's like you were saying it wasn't. Like they don't take accountability. And that's the most disgusting thing.
You're so
They
fucking
don't
right.
say,
Yeah.
hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. They act like it never happened. It's like, holy shit.
And they don't course correct, man. They don't correct their behavior moving forward. I mean, BitBoy is still shit. Like he's not shilling gambling. Like with stake.com, like these people just don't fucking learn. And he has a financial incentive not to learn. I mean, same thing with like Carl the Moon. Like if you look at the statistics of how many people click on the Bybit link and how many people are profitable, like 95% of people lose money. And he knows that. But he doesn't give a shit because he's driving a fucking Bugatti because of it. It's actually very profitable to not have a soul in this space. You can make a fuck ton of money if you just don't give a shit about your audience. So much money.
Yeah, and I hope like the honest people were gonna win in the long term. I like listening to Naval Ravikant and his. I was just listening to it yesterday and the day before his How to Get Rich podcast, like 4 hours, and he talks about. I don't know if do you know what I'm talking about? Naval Ravikant
rings a bell. I'm sure if I like saw his face, I might recognize him.
But he talks about this whole podcast is about like ethical wealth creation, and he says if you are ethical, you always give people the better deal. You always try to make sure that you're a team player. You always do right by people. You're going to win in the long term. Whereas the guy who screws people over, he's going to win short term. He might there might be a deal where he can screw you over and take all the money. Yeah, he won, but now like his reputation is pretty shot, but the thing is, it's funny in crypto is like these guys can just do that and keep going. So I just hope, I hope there's some kind of, I don't know, reckoning where all these guys just get fucking wrecked. And I don't want to wish maybe they'll become honest, but maybe it'll be because they get some kind of fine or they actually get held accountable.
I don't think they will because they're financially incentivized not to. They're financially, and they don't. You know, if you're, I actually totally understand people in crypto's position. He has a family to take care of, man. Like, you know, if you were in his position, I believe he's a like recovering addict. I don't bring that up to shit on him. I think it's great that he's recovered. Like, my point is that for a guy like him, you know, what does he have going for him? He's a really great host who's able to get a lot of views. And you're in that case, if you're getting a lot of views, you're highly, highly incentivized to monetize that and do so in ways sometimes that's probably not fucking best for your audience. And there's a massive financial incentive to do so. Like, same thing with those Bible links, man. Like, when I first started my channel, we had a Bible link. And I was like, fuck, if you guys are going to trade, like we would say all the time, you know, the risk, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, if you're going to trade, you might as well fucking use our link, support us. But it wasn't until like there was a massive liquidation event. And we like went to see like, okay, which one of these exchanges are like, is where all these liquidations are happening. And we saw it was all Bybit. It's all where the retail traders were going. And we're like, oh, our audience is getting wrecked. And so like, and then we took it off. But a lot of these people don't fucking course correct, man. It's insane. I've made so many fucking mistakes, every mistake in the book, but I've tried my fucking darndest to course correct. When I make a mistake, acknowledge it and change my behavior moving forward. But unfortunately, with some of these larger guys, there's a financial incentive. And man, look, you'll see it too. Come this bull market, you keep doing your shit, you're gonna start seeing a lot of emails pop up. You know, with a number attached to it, and that number is going to start to increase. And look, if it's something you think's legitimately cool, great. I've actually worked with two people in the past. It was Atani and Emma.
FTX.
No, not FTX. I wish. But my point is, we've turned down fucking utter garbage constantly. But you know, there's always that incentive not to. Which is
I already, dude, I had like 700 subs and I started getting like these emails like, oh, maybe some of them are scams, but they're like, oh, you know, pay you $500 or $1,000 to do like a 30-second shill of fucking Bit Casino, whatever the fuck it was called, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Bro.
And we ain't playing it fair, we need billions. Going straight to the moon, don't need ceilings. Yeah, she fine as a whoop, don't need feelings. If she sweet, then some of these secrets reveal them. You could peep too, just come subscribe. It's Brandon.
That was great. Really great.